She watched the listless pale fountain girl put in the ice, pour in the Coke, add the cherry syrup, and my heart was bursting with love-ache. That childish wrist, my lovely child. You have a lovely child, Mr. Humbert. We always admire her as she passes by. Mr. Pym watched Pippa suck in the concoction. J'ai toujours admiré l'œuvre au monde du sublime Dublinois. And in the meantime, the rain had become a voluptuous shower. Look, she said as she rode the bike beside me, one foot scraping the darkly glistening sidewalk. Look, I've decided something. I want to leave school. I hate that school. I hate the play. I really do. Never go back. Find another. Leave at once. Go for a long trip again. But this time we'll go wherever I want, won't we? I nodded. My Lolita. I choose? C'est entendu? She asked, wobbling a little beside me. Used French only when she was a very good little girl. Okay. Entendu. Now hop, 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 Lenore, or you'll get soaked. A storm of sobs was filling my chest. She bared her teeth, and after her adorable schoolgirl fashion, leaned forward, and away she sped, my bird. Miss Lester's finely groomed hand held the porch door open for a waddling old dog, qui prenait son temps. Lo was waiting for me near the ghostly birch tree. I am drenched, she declared at the top of her voice. Are you glad? To hell with the play. See what I mean? An invisible hag's claw slammed down an upper-floor window. In our hallway, ablaze with welcoming lights, my Lolita peeled off her sweater, shook her gemmed hair, stretched towards me two bare arms, raised one knee. Carry me upstairs, please. I feel sort of romantic tonight. It may interest physiologists to learn at this point that I have the ability, a most singular case, I presume, of shedding torrents of tears throughout the other tempest. The brakes were relined, the water pipes unclogged, the valves ground, and a number of other repairs and improvements were paid for by not very mechanically minded but prudent Papa Humbert, so that the late Mrs. Humbert's car was in respectable shape when ready to undertake a new journey. We had promised Beardsley School, good old Beardsley School, that we would be back as soon as my Hollywood engagement came to an end. Inventive Humbert was to be, I hinted, chief consultant in the production of a film dealing with existentialism, still a hot thing at the time. Actually, I was toying with the idea of gently trickling across the Mexican border. I was braver now than last year, and there deciding what to do with my little concubine, who was now 60 inches tall and weighed 90 pounds. We had dug out our tour books and maps. She had traced our route with immense zest. Was it thanks to those theatricals that she had now outgrown her juvenile, jaded airs and was so adorably keen to explore rich reality? I experienced the queer lightness of dreams that pale but warm Sunday morning when we abandoned Professor Kem's puzzled house and sped along Main Street toward the 4-lane highway. My love's striped black and white cotton frock, jaunty blue cap, white socks, and brown moccasins were not quite in keeping with the large, beautifully cut aquamarine on a silver chainlet, which gemmed her throat. A spring rain gift from me. We passed the new hotel, and she laughed. A penny for your thoughts, I said, and she stretched out her palm at once. But at that moment I had to apply the brakes rather abruptly at a red light. As we pulled up, another car came to a gliding stop alongside, and a very striking-looking, athletically lean young woman, where had I seen her, with a high complexion and shoulder-length brilliant bronze hair, greeted Lo with a ringing "Hi!" and then, addressing me effusively, edusively placed, stressing certain words, said, "What a shame it was to tear Dolly away from the play. You should have heard the author raving about her after that rehearsal." "Green light, you dope," said Lo under her breath, and simultaneously, waving in bright adieu a bangled arm, Joan of Arc, in a performance we saw at the local theatre, violently outdistanced us to swerve into Campus Avenue. Who was it exactly, Vermont or Rumpelmeyer? No, Edusa Gold, the gal who coaches us. I was not referring to her. Who exactly concocted that play? Oh, yes, of course. Some old woman, Claire something, I guess. There was quite a crowd of them there. So she complimented you? Complimented my eye. She kissed me on my pure brow, and my darling emitted that new yelp of merriment which, perhaps in connection with her theatrical mannerisms, she had lately begun to affect. "You are a funny creature, Lolita," I said, or some such words. Naturally, I'm overjoyed you gave up that absurd stage business, but what is curious is that you dropped the whole thing only a week before its natural climax. Oh, Lolita, you should be careful of those surrenders of yours. I remember you gave up Ramsdale for camp, and camp for a joyride, and I could list other abrupt changes in your disposition. You must be careful. There are things that should never be given up. You must persevere. You should try to be a little nicer to me, Lolita. You should also watch your diet. The tour of your thigh, you know, should not exceed 17.5 inches. More might be fatal. I was kidding, of course. We are now setting out on a long, happy journey. I remember